8.4, solving equations with variables on each side. So we're going to continue solving equations here. A few steps we'll cover here when you have equations on, or when you have variables on both sides of the equation. First off, when you look at the equation, the first thing that you want to do is get the variable on one side of the equation. And in order to do this, you need to add or subtract. So you're going to do the inverse. So get the variable on one side. You'll notice a lot of these equations that you work through today, you'll have a variable on both sides of the equation, so on both sides of the equal sign. Second step, after you get the variable onto one side, is to get rid of any addition or subtraction to the side with the variable. You'll do this by doing inverse operations again. And then the third step that you'll take is to get rid of any multiplication or division done to the variable, and again you'll use inverse operations. First step, solve 7x plus 4 equals 9x. As stated before, you have variables on both sides of the equation here, so you need to get the variable onto one side. You notice that you have an x on the left side and an x on the right side, and that's split up by this equal sign here. Now you can move 7x or you can move 9x. It is totally up to you. If you decide to move the 9x, 9x is positive, so you need to subtract by 9x. When you subtract by 9x on both sides, you wind up with negative 2x. Positive 4 drops down, equals, well, there's nothing left on this side, so you would state that it would be 0. Step 2 is to get rid of any addition or subtraction. We need to get rid of the plus 4. So we would subtract 4 from both sides, and we have negative 2x equals negative 4. Last is to get rid of any multiplication or division done to the variable. And negative 2 is multiplying into x, so we need to divide by negative 2 to get rid of the negative signs and to get rid of the 2's there, so we're left with x equals 2. That is one way to solve. The second way, I'm just going to show you that it doesn't matter what you get rid of, so just bear with me here. You already have this example down. We know that the answer is 2. Another way you could have attacked this problem is get rid of the 7x here. That's a positive of 7x, so you'd subtract 7x from both sides, and you wind up with 4 equals 2x. Get x by itself, divide by 2, and again we have x equals 2. So both ways you're going to get 2. You notice, biggest thing you notice here is that if you have one term right here, leave that term and bring this term to the other side, because if you don't, basically what you're doing is just creating an extra step or so. So get the variable onto one side. Example 2, 3x plus 6 equals x. So I'm going to get rid of my 3x here, that is positive. I'm going to subtract by 3x. Drop down 6 equals, this is really a 1x, remember. 1x take away 3x is negative 2x. Get x alone, we need to divide both sides by negative 2. And we wind up with negative 3 equals x. Example 3, 3x minus 2 equals 8x plus 13. Get the variable onto one side. So you need to determine, am I going to move 3x or am I going to move 8x? Let's say you choose to move 3x. In order to move 3x, we subtract by 3x. Take it off that side. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Now I write it right below the 8x and not below the 13. The reason why you write it below the 8x is because they are like terms. So then you work down your paper here. 3x's cancel out. You drop down the negative 2 equals 8x take away 3x is 5x, and we have plus 13. Now you're back to your solving equations again, is to get the variable alone. So we need to get x by itself. We need to get rid of any addition or subtraction here. We need to get rid of plus 13, so we'll subtract 13. That would have been step 2. Negative 2 take away 13 is negative 15 equals, we drop down our 5x, and the last step that we would have is to get rid of any multiplication or division. In this case we need to divide because 5 is multiplying into x, and we get negative 3 equals x. Last example here, why don't you go ahead, give it a shot here. It's very similar to example 3. You need to get the variable on the one side, so you can either move the 4x here or the negative 5x. So go ahead, pause the video and check back in. Alright, now that we're back here, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that I'm going to get rid of the 4x here, so I need to subtract by 4x on both sides. And I drop down the negative 3 equals negative 5x, take away 4x is negative 9x. Drop down the positive 6. Get the variable alone, so we need to get x by itself. Therefore, we need to subtract by 6 from both sides. We get negative 9 equals negative 9x. Get x alone. In order to get x alone, we need to get rid of the negative 9. Negative 9 is multiplying into x, therefore we're going to divide by negative 9 on both sides, and we find out x equals 1. This concludes 8-4 solving equations with variables on both sides.